Don't look, he'll see you. Don't move, he'll hear you. Don't breathe, you're dead!
This is the Horrible Film School. Take a seat and rip open those trapper keepers. My name is Chris Purdy, and I am here with Mr. Ryan Hootie.
What's up, fellas? Excited to get into the backyard of Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, this is something I didn't even realize. And the big bro, Mr. Nasty, Cropsy's little protege, Joey.
I'm burning, I'm burning, I'm burning for you. They just missed out, man. That song came out in June of 98, or June of 81.
I was about to say 98, they did not.
You're just 17 years off the fucking mark.
It came out in June of 81, man. That could have been the title card song. Oh, what could have been.
I don't know if they had the budget for that.
They would have figured it out.
Today's assignment, 1981's The Burning. A birthday present for myself. Today's lesson, this is my favorite tagline for the film, so if you go down to the woods today, watch out for Cropsy.
Oh, Cropsy.
Somebody is going to say Cosby at some point in this show.
Canceled.
It's in my notes several times of Cosby.
It's auto-corrected in my notes the whole fucking way through.
There's been quite a few times I typed in Crapsy, Crosby, Bropsy, all sorts of shit. Everything but Cropsy.
So are you getting like Google-related ads based on your recent search history for like burn creams or some shit?
I haven't noticed that, but yeah,
It's
if
coming.
I was on Amazon, I'm sure I'd get some like aloe vera advertisements or something.
All right, this was my choice taken as a suggestion from the good people over at Reddit. So let's get this bad boy rolling. Start out with some fan reviews here. I'm going to hit up this negative one from May 2002 by way of an IMDb user named BJ Arrow, I think. It's kind of spelled funky. So, title of this review is called Watch Friday the 13th Instead. It's pretty obvious that the creators of The Burning was making a clone of Friday the 13th. It's nothing else than plagiarism. A disfigured, insane monster / janitor / burn victim with the strength of 10 men, slaughtering a bunch of sex-crazed teenagers on summer camp. The only cool thing about this movie is the actors. A young Jason Alexander and Holly Hunter appear in this movie. That's about it. This is not a scary movie. I give it a 1 out of 10.
That's brutal and complete horseshit.
Oh, no. Hold on now before you go that route.
Every critique you're going to catch of this movie is going to have those same 3 words in it. Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I feel like you can see both sides to this argument. Friday the 13th was so successful, and if you're wanting to get into the horror game, the movie game, it kind of makes sense to imitate it.
I think to elaborate on this point, let me read this positive review from,
Here we go.
from June 2003 by name J. Crew Psycho from IMDb.
Sounds promising.
With the title, outdoes Friday the 13th with gore and plot. Well, maybe not the plot, but this movie rules. Why isn't it out on DVD yet? I think this is a better movie than Friday the 13th, and with Master Tom Savini in charge of the makeup effects, we actually get a truly kick-booty horror movie. Avoid the old, cut-rated R version. It's pathetic and has no gore. The newer version of VHS is actually the uncut one, and you can occasionally watch this late at night on cable. 10 out of 10.
Man, what a time capsule that review was.
Yeah, I
Late
did
night
like
cable.
that. Is this on DVD yet? VHS name dropping? Fucking awesome.
And here's the other side of the coin. It's a Friday the 13th movie that outdoes Friday the 13th.
Like, I feel like the first review was from a guy who's already seen the entire Friday the 13th franchise, and you have to place yourself in one where there is no Jason. And Cropsy.
Crapsy.
Cropsy.
Billy Cropsy.
In comparison to like an old feeble woman that is the killer in Friday the 13th, it's more believable and scary to me.
How about for simplicity's sake, we just call this guy Burnsy?
Burns.
Sure.
What about Bernie? Feel the burn.
How about
Feel that burn.
I think we all know who the fuck we're talking about.
But yeah, I mean, just looking at those two, you see literally people that love it and people that hate it are almost always basing it on their personal opinions about a different gigantic horror franchise. So I thought that was kind of interesting to give it that context, because it is really hard to watch this and not feel that way yourself.
Oh, that's the thing. There's nothing wrong with imitation, as long as you can take it and kind of make it your own. And I feel like this movie does that. We're gonna get into it later on, but yeah, this is definitely one of the big three in terms of camp horror, camp slashers.
All right, with that bit of context, let's take a little peek at the people behind the camera, folks who made this movie, starting, of course, with the director, a fella by the name of Tony Malum, who I have written in quotes here, has done nothing I have ever heard of before or since.
Oh, somebody didn't do their research, Joey.
To Chris's point, like what I saw, he did like a bunch of rock and roll documentaries. And that's kind of how he scored this job. Is I think he worked with Weinstein or some shit on one of his previous projects as a rock promoter or something like that.
Unforgettable classics. Genesis, live in concert. Who doesn't love Genesis? What old white man, doesn't? And then...
Hold on, I don't know any Genesis songs. You want to, what's their biggest hit?
Phil Collins' solo work.
You know Phil Collins' songs. I don't know if In the Air Tonight it's Phil Collins
That's
or
Phil
the
Collins,
Genesis.
it's not Genesis.
That's Phil Collins. Well, I don't know. You'll Be in My Heart, that's Tarzan.
Yes, go ahead and sing a little bar. I want to hear it.
And then the second classic is Hero, the official film of the 1986 FIFA World Cup.
All right, getting into the creative minds behind the people who wrote this, quite a few writers, but unfortunately we probably have to start with the created by credit here. That's kind of a big, bold name, Mr. Harvey Weinstein. Created by, and he gets original story credits here. I don't know how much we want to elaborate on who this man is. Quick Google will teach you a lot.
We can move on.
I will. We can kind of pivot here to his brother. His brother Bob gets actual screenplay credit here, along with a guy by the name of Peter Lawrence. And I would say for the Weinsteins, I guess talking about them collaboratively, it's hard to deny the facts that they produced the Lord of the Rings trilogy, greatest trilogy of all time, and pretty much everything Quentin Tarantino did. So that's the producing credits.
And they always have, pretty big input to a lot of the projects they work on.
Producers that have the name power that you probably wouldn't associate with most production companies.
I mean, they're responsible for pretty much reinvigorating the genre with Scream, right?
Yeah, that too. Miramax, is that their company? Am I speaking out of turn here?
Miramax at this point in time was the company, but I think Bob founded Dimension.
You two probably don't watch wrestling. It's fine. But in wrestling, it went from the WWF and got rebranded to the WWE. And everything that was WWF has been blurred out. So why can't we just go back and blur out that Weinstein image at the beginning of the movies and just move on?
Oh, you mean physically blur out, like it pops
physically blur out?
Created by, and the name is just redacted. So we had a few writers, a few story by credits. Looks like it was quite a collaboration amongst these groups of fellas. The only two I really had any notes on as far as what else they've done are the Weinsteins themselves. So barring those, moving on. I thought the music here was pretty interesting, so I wanted to shout out Mr. Rick Wakeman, whose work on the classic albums of the progressive rock band Yes earned him a reputation as one of rock's greatest ever keyboardists.
So the only Yes song I know is that Owner of a Lonely Heart song. But apparently his ass didn't even work on that.
Heart.
He went with the band when that shit came out.
You can pick out that song from that band, but can't say a single song from Genesis.
Neither can you,
I
man.
just name, just sing a song.
I didn't pull this
don't know
shit
who they are.
I know the name. I couldn't.
This is bugging me now. I gotta look it up.
They have those, do they sing that song, Buddy, you're a hard man, young man trying?
That's Queen, I believe.
Oh, shit, that's Queen.
Mr. Mercury there.
Yikes.
But yeah, I think he did some of the big Bowie keyboard work, so that's going to get you that elite status anyway by itself. Kind of interesting. I mean, and cool that he lent his talents to what is seemingly a very small independent production. So, always appreciate a good musician on the keys.
Yeah, I was looking into some of his work. This dude was like a huge solo artist.
Did he sing, or was it just like straight keyboard?
Oh, I'm not sure, but according to the dude's autobiography or biography, what's the one where you don't write it? Biography. Yeah, apparently Elton John was a big fan of his work.
All right, last behind the camera fellow I got to shout out here is a little bit obvious, Mr. Tom Savini, special makeup and effects, known for fill in the blanks, fellas.
Directing the remake of Night of the Living Dead.
Friday the 13th.
Yep.
From Dusk Till Dawn.
You guys talking about like wrestling and shit earlier. I like just in my mind, I hear the glass break, like in fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin's intro, and it's just Tom Savini fucking walking down the damn, walkway.
With the revolver dick gun. Yeah, I can see
Ready
that.
to stomp a mud hole.
The WWF would have blurred that shit out in a minute.
100%. Yeah, can't be showing that. So, back to Genesis, fellas. Top 2 hits. 1983's Mama and 1980's Behind
Mama
the Lines.
just killed a man. Oh, I love that song.
Nailed it.
Again, this is Queen. Okay.
Fuck, it's another Queen song?
I think it's the same one,
Oh,
actually.
the same fucking song?
There's like 4 different songs inside of Bohemian Rhapsody. But yeah, as far as notes about the production itself, I thought the most interesting and probably the most telling, given the context we've already provided, piece of information is the fact that Tom Savini turned down Friday Part 2 to work on The Burning.
Apparently, Tom Savini has like a hate relationship with any of the sequels of Friday the 13th.
Because he didn't work on them? Or
Well, no. The whole thought of Jason being alive.
Wasn't that like his pitch at the end of the first one, though, that the kid would pop up?
Well, I mean, yeah, as a fucking cephalopod or whatever
was
that
that a
shit
dream
is.
sequence? I forgot.
It was a dream sequence.
The dream shit got really weird with Friday the 13th. That's right.
More than once.
All 3 movies so far, we've had that.
I thought it was interesting, back to your reviews from earlier and all the comparisons to Friday the 13th. We've got to keep talking about it. This was written before Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
Script.
I think when I kind of got to my finalization, my summary, I was kind of feeding off what people were saying about. There's one scene in here in particular, I think, where they're telling a story at a campfire. The guy jumps out in a mask, and one of the reviews was like, "This is a straight copy from Friday the 13th Part 2, which came out 7 days before this movie. There's
Direct
no
copy, man.
fucking way
Oh, yeah.
that inspired this. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
so eerie, though, how it's beat for beat the same fucking scene.
Right, yeah. I agree,
There's
but
so
it's,
many similarities between Friday the 13th Part 2 and this movie.
yeah.
Like, you feel like, you know how when there's political campaigns and you have moles and shit inside of the opposing parties.
Do you think Harvey was creeping around the other
I'm
production?
thinking they were both were. Like each of them had somebody in their camp, you know?
Well, this is not new to Hollywood, though. Like, I think it was 98, you had Deep Impact and Armageddon.
No. These movies are almost exactly the fucking same. Like, sure, yeah, there's an asteroid coming down, but it's not goddamn Elijah Wood going in outer space blowing up a fucking asteroid. You know what I mean?
Was Elijah Wood in Deep Impact?
Yes, he's the main character.
Okay, all right.
He drives a
I
dirt
forgot about
bike,
that.
saves Lily Sobieski. It's a very,
Deep Impact
it's a very
is so
awesome
forgettable
scene.
for me.
The overarching theme of a fucking asteroid blowing up Earth is the same. The execution is not. The execution in this movie is like the same. It's the same thing with Volcano and Dante's Peak.
Yeah, there you go. It's another example.
I was always a Dante's Peak guy.
Can you imagine
man.
Tommy
very
Lee Jones in a
different
boat
films.
trying to fucking save everybody? His old ass arms would have fucking broke.
Why is there a volcano in L.A.? Nobody questioned, you know.
Who gives a shit, man? Because action, that's why.
The Earth is filled with liquid hot magma. There could be a volcano anywhere.
Huge. But yeah, like we were saying, the fact that these movies are a week apart essentially had to have been filmed at the same time by 2 different companies. I mean, we have to remember that this comes out with this team of people that are creating this film have never experienced anybody other than Mrs. Voorhees as the killer. So I mean, everything they're doing here is basically original at this point. A weird synchronicity. If it's coincidental or not, who knows?
Do you feel like this was kind of with the same thing with Russia and America racing each other to the fucking moon? Like, whoever gets there first wins, no matter how it's done.
My next note here, in my connection to Bruce Springsteen from earlier. The concept of the film was based on a campfire story told at summer camps in and around the state of New Jersey and upstate New York. The story is still in circulation, and the basis for a documentary that I think Joey watched does not reference this film.
Oh, really? That's really cool.
So
this is like an urban legend that became.
Oh yeah, Cropsey is an urban legend. Like, it's known throughout, like, I think New Jersey and like New York as like a boogeyman story to keep everybody in line. I actually got a little bit of a thing to talk about on that.
Yes.
You want me
Is
to
it rabbit hole time?
Well, not a rabbit hole, but it's just like neat information.
Before you do, let me throw in something that I just realized based on what Hootie said. So this and Friday the 13th both take place in New Jersey as well.
Yep.
That's fucking insane. Anyway, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I think at the end of the movie they say it took place or it was filmed in Western New York, but I think it was actually filmed on like Staten Island, which might as well be fucking New Jersey.
I'm sure Staten Island doesn't see that, but I understand what you're saying.
The fucking trash pile, the living trash heap that is fucking New Jersey and Staten Island.
It reminds me of What We Do in the Shadows. Shout out to a good TV show.
I haven't watched the newest season yet.
It's good. More of the same, but it's good.
So yeah, as Hootie talked about, I did watch the documentary titled Cropsey. So the burning is loosely based on the folktale of Cropsey. Depending on who you ask, Cropsey is a New York urban legend about an escaped mental patient who would abduct children and drag them off to his abandoned hospital there to be tortured and murdered. Told like many other stories to try and keep unruly kids in line. But yeah, Cropsey's about that urban legends as well as a man named Andre Rand, who is a homeless, or was. No, he's still alive. So yeah, was a homeless resident.
Is he still homeless? Fuck.
I guess if you
Joey Google Maps his ass. He's still sleeping out there.
If you consider sleeping in prison to not be homeless, then yes, he is not
homeless.
Yeah, resident of Staten Island who was active during the 80s, who allegedly kidnapped and killed or murdered a young girl from the Willowbrook State School for the Developmentally Disabled, where he worked as an orderly. Rand was believed to have kidnapped and murdered several other disabled children and young adults, but their bodies were never found. This is a super fucking interesting documentary that I didn't think would be as interesting as it was. It goes down this whole rabbit hole of like Rand might be guilty. There could be like Satanists and cultists involved and all this other mess. It's pretty fascinating.
I think this movie really brought more surprise than any of us really expected when I pulled it out of my ass.
Could you imagine growing up in New Jersey and you have both the Jersey Devil and Cropsey as like campfire stories?
Shit you gotta
That's
worry
incredible.
about.
That's incredible.
Trick-or-treating is fucking incredible in Asbury Park.
I actually have a friend from New Jersey, and she said she had never heard of fucking Cropsey.
Oh, really?
Watching the documentary, every single person above fucking shit. What state would that be? Virginia,
Pennsylvania?
Washington, Washington D.C. They know of Cropsey according to this documentary. She ain't got a fucking clue.
She slept through that the urban legend class, if they taught that at her school.
This is dumb.
All right, without further ado, let's get to burning.
Now, this camp had a caretaker, a really evil bastard, and his name was Cropsey. Everyone hated Cropsey. For a start, he was a drunk. 2 bottles of whiskey a day, no problem. Like, most of the time, he's somewhere out in space. But if he caught you, look out.
At Camp Blackfoot, 5 little boys decide to fuck with the caretaker, Cropsey, played by Mr. Lou David, who I did not recognize any of his other work. You guys may have.
He had a lot of credits.
Oh, damn, I had nothing for this dude.
He had a lot of, like, playing a scary creature credits, but things that I'd never seen. So
Gunman number 2 type stuff. We talk about Camp Blackfoot. Why does it always got to be naming something after Native Americans? Like,
because that's the old
Because it's a camp. They live
I
in
don't know.
teepees.
it seems like cultural appropriation. I'm not sure that's how it has to be.
It definitely is.
They live in teepees and they wipe their ass with wolf fur.
Middle class white people go and sleep outside for fun, and what are they doing? They're pretending to be Native Americans.
It's rough. Anyway, that was my one gripe about the
Gotta
opening.
love it. They head over to his cabin with a box they drop near his bed. They rap on the window until Cropsey wakes up and sees a wormy skull with lit candles in the eye sockets. He screams and knocks over the skull, setting all kinds of shit on fire. Cropsey runs out engulfed in flames and falls into the nearby lake. 1 week later, at a hospital, an orderly takes a would-be doctor to see a badly burnt patient. As the orderly stands by his curtain, Cropsey's charred hand grabs his ass. Title cards.
I'm kind of surprised that when Cropsey fell into the lake, it didn't set the lake on fire, because we all know, like, New Jersey, any body of water in New Jersey is literally filled with toxic waste.
It's like a Flint, Michigan situation.
He was going to come out like a fucking Ninja Turtle out of the fucking water.
Can we break down? Okay, they put this skull beside his bed, and he's sleeping in his like clothes with boots on. The boots on freak me out. Wakes up, knocks over the skull. His body is on fire. He keeps a fucking gas can beside of his bed.
A full
knocks
tank
that
of
damn
gasoline.
thing over. Gets engulfed in flames in about 2 seconds, and then runs into the fucking lake.
It was fucking fantastic. It takes him forever to roll down that hill as well.
The kid walking through his like little shack or hut or whatever you call it. It's literally like panning across the hut. You can see like gas canisters, fucking lanterns, all sorts of accelerants like everywhere. And obviously this is a kid's mindset. He ain't gonna be thinking about this shit. But it's like, all right, you know this is gonna end in a disaster.
This is a bad idea.
Put yourself in this guy's shoes for when he wakes up and he looks at the window and there's 5 little kids out there like tapping on the window and howling and shit, and their eyes are like super wide open. That's fucking scarier than the skull.
That is true, but
this skull was pretty fucking creepy though.
It's a lot of unfortunate events very fast.
It looked like a real human skull.
The fucking teeth was all crooked. It must have been like an Englishman.
The nurse who makes the doctor come look at Cropsey says his ass is cooked like a fucking Big Mac. Well done.
A fucking Big Mac. Overdone.
That was a weird reference, man. I was like,
That was so weird.
I thought he was gonna say like some KFC or some shit, you know. But he's like a Big Mac.
This guy was the next coming to Richard Pryor. I don't know how he didn't get a spinoff.
He was funny.
He was fucking great. How closely did you guys like watch the burn sequence?
Oh, the stunt work when they were burning him.
Yeah, when he was dressed like a fucking astronaut.
The head was huge. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Lou had a big old noggin too, though.
Dude, big old noggin. Did you see his fucking nostrils?
The kids watch him fall into the lake and then just casually will walk away. There's no...
I did like the cold open aspect of it too. It's kind of weird. Like when I started the movie, I press fucking play, and then the movie starts. I was like, this is fucking tripping me out. I thought I was watching the wrong thing because I had like no presenter credits, nothing. It was just straight to the first image.
What about the practical effects work on the actual like burnt arm coming out and grabbing the dude's wrist?
It was solid. It was definitely like I didn't want to see him. I appreciated that they didn't show like his full body because I definitely like feel when I see people like that. So
I feel like just seeing the arm like that is much more impactful than seeing the actual body because it leaves it up to the imagination. Because you can see how fucked up the forearm is. You can see like the muscle fibers and just the charred skin. Well, no, I think that was actually like clothing or something.
it was thick. Yeah, it looked like an extra layer, like his skin had gotten thicker.
Well, it would stick to your body.
Jeez,
Your
dude,
clothes.
fuck get burned, man.
He's got permanent boots on now, Hootie. How does that make you feel?
All right, let's
now
ask
he's
that
gotta
timeless
sleep with them on.
question. Would you rather be burned alive or burned to death or freeze to death?
Without question, freeze to death. Right before you die, you get warm again. And ain't that kind of romantic?
5 years later, Cropsey is released from the hospital. He walks the streets at night until a prostitute gives him an offer he can't refuse. Cropsey enters her apartment. As she preps the fucking, Cropsey closes in, scaring the hell out of the woman. They struggle, he grabs a pair of scissors and stabs her to death. This kill was 80s as fuck.
This made no sense.
Yeah, I feel like in retrospect, this was there to give you a kill early in the movie because it's a good while before you get the second one.
What's your problem with this, Hootie?
Because, one, how does this severely burned man, one, get a prostitute? Because they literally say, the doctor
they
goes...
wallet.
They ain't picky.
The
They're
doctor
fucking
says...
prostitutes.
The doctor says, we're sorry the skin grafts just didn't take. So you know he looks brutal. And then, what was his motivation to kill this random prostitute? Just trying to make a buck. She's just trying to make a buck.
He's been sitting in this fucking hospital for 5 years, being poked and prodded and fucking seen as a freak. You know how much malice and hatred this dude's had built up over 5 years?
Them balls gotta be blue as fuck. Because you probably can't masturbate like that either, right?
Well, I mean, he's not having sex with the prostitute. He's killing her. That's...
I think he's approaching her to do so, and then her reaction, I think, is what triggers him.
Well, I mean,
yeah. She goes for the scissors first. But she's being choked and shit. You know what I mean?
But once she sees his face, she's like, "No, get away from me!" And I think that kind of.
Who are you? Get away from me! Just
she was
leave.
pretty rough.
She looked like a man.
Yeah, she didn't see his face, I don't think, until that moment.
What about when they kicked his ass out of the hospital?
What do you mean? They were like, "Get the fucking walking."
They're fucking wheeling him out of the hospital. They're pretty much like, "Yo, dog, I know you still burnt the fuck up and your face looks like beef jerky, but you got to get out this hospital. I'd lie and say your insurance wasn't covering you anymore, but honestly, you're just gross to look at. We can't take this shit no more."
Later at Camp Stonewater, some campers are playing sexy baseball, while Cropsey is creeping about in the bushes, armed with a pair of garden shears. I'm just going to drop a few names here. This is kind of an actor dump, but I'm just going to do two specifics here. We have Mrs. Leah Ayres, maybe, who played Michelle.
Ayres?
I'm going to say Ayres. It looks cleaner that way.
It was Ayers.
I'm about to go in on this bitch, so you can go ahead.
Who played Michelle, who it took me the entirety of the fucking movie to realize she was in Bloodsport.
Blood fucking sport, baby.
Yes.
It took you the whole movie to realize that?
It was killing me because I was like, God, she was fucking an action hero. I kept going to Steven Seagal.
What the fuck?
I was like, is she fucking Steven Seagal in something? Then I was like, nope, it's fucking Jean-Claude. Right at the end of the movie when she's in the when she's getting the helicopter.
Uh-huh.
I was like, that's the fucking lady from Bloodsport.
Most famous for her role as the reporter trying to blow Frank Dukes in Bloodsport.
Frank, put up your dukes.
Got a little bit more about her if you care for me to elaborate.
Yeah, that's all I had on. I just remembered her from Bloodsport.
She also played a waitress in the music video for Meatloaf's More Than You Deserve. Y'all gotta watch this video.
Is it sexy?
It starts off with Meatloaf hopping out of a big rig at a truck stop.
Black Dog style.
Yeah, Black Dog style. And grabbing some pie in a diner with Ayers as the only waitress. Meatloaf is confessing his love for her after she gives his fat ass a piece of pie. But before long, another guy comes in and she serves him some pie as well. And Meatloaf accosts the guy for stealing his girl. And before long, the entire place is filled with dudes she's serving pie to. It's apparently a metaphor for her fucking all these guys. And Meatloaf is just screaming at all these truckers who are there just to relax and eat some fucking tasty dessert. It's so good.
Damn it, I miss Meatloaf.
Wow, I gotta check this out.
You gotta watch. It's so fucking funny because it's so serious. Cause
She
Meatloaf
was
is
also
like,
in an Academy Award-winning film. I think it won Best Picture. All That Jazz.
not to be confused with the porn version, All That Jizz.
Yeah, that's a layup right there.
And there we go.
That was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good.
I also wanted to drop another actor here. More to come, but Jason Alexander. His
Jason
face
Alexander!
is kind of prominent here with all that hair. Actually, kind of looks like an attractive young man. So,
Well, that's a little far.
No, fuck no. He was a handsome guy in this. What are you talking about?
I don't think it translated to his adult career, but Jason Alexander plays Dave, who you may know from Seinfeld, which I've never seen an episode of myself, and Pretty Woman, where he's just creepy, nerdy fucker.
Apparently, we're missing out because Seinfeld is like really good, according to everybody else on the planet.
Yeah, people love it. I'm just not a sitcom guy in general.
Yeah, it was his first feature, first full-length film credit. However, Chris is leaving out a couple of movies in his repertoire.
Oh, here we go. The bangers. The bangers.
Dunstan Checks In.
Banger.
Oh, God.
And Shallow Hal.
Banger.
Yeah, those are fucking...
Okay.
Those are,
Fucking Pretty Woman.
I'm sure he's been in much better films, but those are movies that I remember him from.
Speaking of Pretty Woman and songs, The King of Wishful Thinking. You look that up. Fantastic.
Did he bang Julia Roberts in that movie, or did he just try to?
He accosted her after he had understood she was in a relationship with Richard.
I don't think he propositioned her. He didn't accost her.
Yeah, he gets her like they're like at a dinner party, and he gets her off to the side and's like, "I got $50." Pretty much like, "You
shit.
suck my dick."
$50 gets you a lot.
It's Julia Roberts. I mean, probably one of the most attractive women of all time.
Richard Gere out
so
here fucking mice.
had that right in front of him, but he needed the gerbil.
Allegedly.
We're talking about allegations on this podcast right now, Hootie.
Are we going to talk about the other actors in the film later on, or do we need to go in?
Yeah. Those just two kind of like stood out in that quick scene. Yeah, and also here I thought it's interesting how they do the POV for Cropsy here. It's like blurry, like his eyes fucked up from the burns and shit. So I thought that was kind of a unique touch that kind of differentiates it from like the Friday the 13th stuff.
You know the best part about this movie?
The sexy baseball.
Here we go. Tiger.
Jesus, Hootie. There isn't a bra in this entire fucking movie. I love the 80s, boys. Let's go!
I actually noticed that a couple of times.
This was a sexy movie, sex was everywhere in this movie.
They were able to achieve the blurry vision for Cropsy by putting petroleum jelly on the actual camera lens.
Nice. So it was like an intent to it. That's what I appreciated about it.
That was probably from Harvey's personal supply.
Probably was. God.
There's the first one.
Canceled, bro.
Let's see how long we can make it before we started talking shit about it.
Oh, shit.
Joey's hitting all of the easy putts today.
Oh. I thought that one was pretty good. That was kind of like... That was I had to reach for that one. That one wouldn't let.
That was a driver.
With Jason's like deformed head and shit, like his POV would be like a little fucked up. There'd be like skin hanging down on one eye or some shit. And we don't get that in those movies, so.
That's true. He gets perfect 20/20 vision.
Exactly. He has better vision than we fucking do. He had his HD.
This motherfucker's got predator vision. He can see in the goddamn dark.
The next morning, hot camper Sally wakes up and goes to shower. While showering, she hears a noise, throws back the shower curtain, and screams. The girls from her cabin run in and see Alfred, played by Brian Becker, who you may know from Fast Times at Ridgemont High or Police Academy 4, running away.
This dude cannot catch a fucking break, man. He's a peeping Tom weirdo here. He played a loser cuck in Fast Times. When is it Brian's time to shine? Things, I guess, might be different in Police Academy 4. But, this dude even fucking managed to score a part in a movie called Loser, starring Jason Biggs. This guy, he just typecast.
This dude is a fucking dweeb. I wrote down right here, Shelley 2.0. You guys remember?
Fuck that. No, don't even, man.
I think Shelley was better.
Nah, no. Don't
This
even.
is the genesis of the Shelley character.
I'm taking personal offense.
He even says he's trying to scare people to make them like him. That is a quote from both of these characters.
Yeah, but this motherfucker right here doesn't have any redeeming qualities, doesn't do anything for the... Oh, we're going to get to a fight. He doesn't do anything for the rest of the movie to redeem himself. Shelley does. Shelley
He gives Jason his mask.
No, Shelley
And
comes...
his harpoon gun.
Shelley comes around and runs over the damn bikers and shit in that movie. Like, he redeems himself.
GTFO and Shelley. You know I hated that fucking guy. I also had a little note here. I said, is Sally showering under a soap dispenser? Because more and more fucking shampoo just appears throughout the scene while she's going at it.
You get a full frontal.
It's
like
a
there was
lot
no
of
double.
boob here.
That was...
No double.
I like that. I'm trying not to be fucking too...
This is a hard movie to
Look
avoid
at
that.
look at Joey. He's struggling so bad right now.
He's got blue balls just like Cropsy, man.
The way her her front looks is very pleasing to me.
It's very nice,
Very
good
attractive
stuff.
woman who she didn't do much beyond this acting, from what I understand. But I think she was some type of model. It's kind of what she's known for here. So obviously a beautiful woman. Counselor Todd, played by Brian Matthews, who again was not in anything of note for me personally, talks with Alfred, who admits he just wanted to scare Sally and feels picked on. Todd empathizes with Alfred, having been sent home for a practical joke gone wrong years ago.
Coincidence?
Later, Glazer, played by Larry Joshua, who you may know as the wrestling promoter from Spider-Man, warns Alfred to stay away from Sally.
I know another way you should have worded that. Somebody you probably don't know, because nobody on earth fucking knows who you're talking about besides you.
I knew him. When I heard his voice, I was like, this is the you could have tore that guy apart. I forgot where that's my problem. You don't remember this fucking guy?
Oh, yeah, I remember the implications.
It was
of what happened.
500 for 3 rounds. You pinned him in 2.
The dude's a fucking Chad. 100%.
Yeah, he is.
I remember Bruce Campbell and the Macho Man Randy Savage. There was a third guy that I need to care about in
Yeah,
that
he was
scene.
the one who paid Peter. Like, he shorted him because he pinned Bonesaw McGraw
let me do it,
too
let me do
quickly.
it. Bonesaw is ready.
Fuck, I love Randy Macho Man
God,
Savage.
dude, I've been
Rest
listening.
in peace, buddy.
I've been listening to his shit on fucking YouTube for like days on end now, and I get so pumped. Right before I work out every day, I listen to some Macho Man shit.
His heart exploded while he was driving.
Always
What
rises
a
to the top.
way to go.
Fucking held onto that hair all the way through. I love it.
He was always on Mean Gene's ass, bro, about him talking to his lady.
And then his lady, Miss Elizabeth, died of an overdose. But anyway,
Shit.
we're moving on.
Alright.
Damn it, Hootie's a Debbie Downer, man.
Sorry. Todd shows up to bring this show back up, all the way up. Todd shows up in a badass jean shirt.
Yeah, he's like, of course, as he's running into the scene, it's our first good look at him. It's unbuttoned all the way down, and I'm like,
He's like
all right,
a
this is the
sex
sexiest
machine.
motherfucker at camp. You don't have to tell me twice. He's like buttoning up his shirt with his fucking chest hairs hanging out. What's going on here? I also had a question about Glazer. They keep saying all those muscles,
Yeah.
and I'm just curious if I misremember. Like, Schwarzenegger was around at this time, right? Or pretty close to it.
Yeah, but he was like not normal, would be a way to put it.
Yeah, but I
You
mean,
didn't see it all the time.
I don't know. I guess we know what movie star Jacked looks like now.
Yeah.
And this dude looks very mundane.
I think what they're saying is muscular in comparison to the rest of the fucking dweeb. Muscular
Like
in
beefy?
comparison to fucking dweeb incel boy, whatever. I don't forgot his fucking name. They
You're talking about our main character, Alfred?
more muscular than Jason Alexander.
I mean,
Yes,
if you
it's
take
true.
it all the way to Cabin in the Woods, where Chris Hemsworth supposedly plays a high school or college kid, and that's a whole other like human body of just jacked.
Literally like a god at that point. So, but then I mean, like Counselor Todd, who he is obviously like the sexiest guy at camp, is just super skinny. That's kind of all he's got, like as far as physique is concerned.
He's tall. He's tall.
There you go,
I
tall,
guess
skinny.
so.
Tall counts for something.
Later, the campers are dicking around in the lake, and we begin to understand the dynamic between the quote-unquote kids at this camp. In the cabins that night, Alfred reacts when he sees Cropsy's busted face at a window, but the other campers do not. In the cafeteria, the head counselor talks to Michelle, Todd, and the rest of the campers about an upcoming 3-day canoe trip to Devil's Creek, several miles downriver from the camp.
Where did all these kids come from?
There's a lot of fucking children here.
This is like a warehouse cafeteria.
There's only like 2 campers or 2 counselors too.
Yeah, this is fucking Babysitters R Us. I feel like some of the campers are expected to take care of other kids because there's so fucking many of them, you know?
I expected the crew that we hang out with, Jason Alexander and his crew, to be the counselors, but they weren't. They were just there to enjoy it as well.
There's quote-unquote kids.
It's very confusing. And there was like 5-year-olds here as well.
Yeah, so actor of note here, Fisher Stevens, who plays Woodstock, he has like the most unusual neck of any actor you'll ever see. I know I recognized him as an adult for the way his head sits on his neck, it's just very unique. But it was really cool to see him like really young, because I've only ever seen him as an old man. He is in currently the best show on television, Succession. Comes back in a few weeks.
I have not watched that at all.
It's fantastic. The final season starts March 26th.
Just finished with The Last of Us, so hell, I guess I'll move over to Succession next.
It's a
What do you think
banger.
about that season finale?
It's the same as the game, man.
It's almost beat for beat with the game. I liked
Yeah,
it.
it's exactly
I
the
didn't
same.
mind it.
I grew up, again, older brother, who loved Short Circuit.
Johnny Five. Is it John Five? Johnny Five?
I watched that movie so much as a kid.
It's like one of those movies I saw like commercials for on TBS and just never watched the fucking movie, you know?
I think
I
that
wa-
shit would
there's
come
one
on
and
and just
two.
turn the channel.
Is that a Matthew Broderick thing, or is that War Games? All that shit kind of ran
War
together for
Games
me.
is Matthew Broderick. Short Circuit is Fisher Stevens, and it's fantastic. It's a sequel. Both of them are good. Now I'm getting angry.
Note here that we saw a lot of Fisher Stevens' asshole and his ball sack.
Dude, this fucking movie, there's so much dude ass and behind the ball shots.
When did
in
we
this
see his
movie.
balls?
Chris did the same thing I did, and he fucking paused it. And he was like,
They mooned the other campers. I was like, there's that guy's fucking nuts hanging out and his asshole
I did
right there.
not see this.
When he mooned them,
I guess I was typing notes or something. I don't know. I did not
yeah,
see
there
the
was a lot of
balls.
buttholes and ball sacks right here.
So
They
in,
were
in
not.
that scene, Chris, there were
No
like
prejudice.
3 to 4 assholes visible. Whose ass did you focus on when you first saw it? You
I think I called Fisher Stevens' ass because he
I
was
think
the
it
most
was
tan.
Fisher Stevens' ass that
He was
I
so
focused
tan.
on.
I was like, that's his
Just
butthole and
the
his
camera made
asshole.
more
I caught a little bit of ball.
Fantastic.
Caught a little bit of nut.
I'm telling you, this movie, like you said, it was sexy in a way that it didn't shy away from either gender.
Fisher Stevens was also the bad guy, or one of the bad guys in Super Mario Brothers, the original. Solid film.
One of the bad guys. Who the fuck did he play?
I don't
That
know.
movie ain't even out yet.
No, the old one in the 90s.
Oh, the Leguizamo one.
Yeah.
That's my dude. I love Leguizamo. King of the Jungle. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Very underrated.
The next day, a large group heads out canoeing. At night, Todd tells the story of Cropsy around the campfire. He mentions that Cropsy survived in the woods, killing animals and eating them raw. Later, after everyone has gone to sleep for the night, Eddie and Karen take a walk. Karen is doubtful about shagging Eddie, so he decides to whip it out and go skinny dipping anyway. When Karen joins him and remains hesitant, Eddie acts like a little bitch, and Karen leaves. She finds her clothes scattered around the trees before being attacked and killed by Cropsy, who slashes her throat with the garden shears.
Karen is literally the embodiment of every woman I've ever fucking met. Just can't make her mind up. Hot and cold. Yes and no. Up and fucking down. Make your mind up. Pick a fucking restaurant.
This dude is a fucking douchebag, though.
See,
Come on.
this is where we disconnect here, you and me, Joey, because I can clearly tell, and this is where I get to insert my Harvey Weinstein, that Harvey Weinstein wrote this fucking movie, because this female
Yeah.
character is so bizarre.
I had a lot of I had notes here. There's a lot of women who say no and then yes and then no in this movie.
And then the
definitely
guy
seemed
like
like-
smacks him.
Seemed like a psychological connection
Yes,
to
it
maybe his
does
personal
have,
tastes.
because apparently the whole allegations started with this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like an intern was like bringing him something at his hotel room, and he tried to like get her to massage him while he was naked and all this other shit.
He pulled his Cropsy out.
Yeah, he put a
Deshaun
Cropsy.
Watson there.
But yeah, this actress, I guess you can call her an actress. This is like the only fucking movie she was ever in.
A lot of women in this movie had that
Was
experience.
Carolyn Houlihan, who actually won, and I don't know how, won Miss Ohio USA in 1979.
You don't think she was an attractive woman?
She was attractive, but damn, I mean, there had to be a more attractive woman in Ohio at that point in time.
She was nude for quite a bit here, too.
Her tan lines was awful.
Well, you just saw Fisher Stevens' perfectly brown asshole.
And you love that.
Yeah, his
Loved it.
tan lines was much better than hers, and he's a fucking guy. he's
glad
not
that we
Miss.
could-
He's not Miss Ohio.
But yeah, his whack-ass New York accent, man, it just had me laughing when he's in that lake talking that shit to her.
Come on, Karen.
Come on, Karen. That was fucking terrible.
I can't make sense of you, bruh. I can't do a fucking New York accent. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this is our first camper kill. It kind of shook me a little bit. I don't know why. Maybe if it was just the pacing here or something. I don't know, I had like a genuine reaction to this one, which is kind of rare.
Did the jump scare get you? Because it got me.
Maybe that's what it was. It definitely felt like more frightened than I usually do in these types of movies.
Yeah, it was very effective.
The next morning, Todd and Michelle ask Eddie where Karen is, and he says he does not know. Soon they learn that all the canoes are missing, and Todd decides that the group needs to construct a makeshift raft to get back to their camp. Begrudgingly, the group manages to finish the raft. Glazer goes off with Sally to make out while Alfred spies on them. Eddie, Woodstock Fish, and two of the female campers leave on the raft to row back to camp. After paddling upriver for a few miles, they see one of their canoes and row towards it. But when they reach their canoe, Cropsey leaps out onto the raft and manages to slash, gash, cut another hole in the ass of all 5 folks. This shit was bizarre.
This shit was fucking amazing. Everything came together so well in this scene. The fucking music, just the build up. Like the mood, as soon as they get to the canoe, is like joyful. It's like, all right, yeah, I'm about to find the canoe. And then all of a sudden, bing, bang, boom, all of you are fucking dead.
Yeah, that shit was like a fucking video game or something. Like someone had just got a fucking combo going.
Joy gives you the steak. I'm giving you the Brussels sprouts because 2 things. 1, go back, watch Woodstock use his paddle. He's using
sideways,
that thing
sideways,
all kinds of
sideways.
wrong.
I know you're like a trained fucking raft professional or some shit. I know it bugged the shit out of you. It bugged the shit out of me.
Eddie, if you go back and look at it, Eddie's using this perfect. And the boat is going in Eddie's direction because Eddie's strokes are perfect. And Woodstock is just like all kinds of wrong. And the boat is about to do a spinny circle, but it keeps cutting back and forth. So there you go. And secondly,
you are insane. This is like one of the most, like, this has to go down as one of the best fucking scenes in slasher history. And you're over here worried about a goddamn paddle.
I'm sorry. It really hurt me,
The physics, man. The physics.
I got shoes in beds, and I got paddles used wrong so far. And it is incredibly hard for a human being to stand in a canoe, reach out of the canoe, and then chop off body parts while standing in like 2 boats at one time. But the scene was very effective, but from a realistic standpoint, it bothered me.
It moves fast.
That raft scene is one of the best scenes I've ever seen in a horror film. I didn't think Bernsey was going to pop out and murder 5 people. I was expecting something super cliche, like they'd find that Karen's body. I was expecting to find Karen's body in there, right? This scene, it subverts the whole idea of safety in numbers. I love this scene. Woodstock losing his fingers, Diane getting her forehead sliced open, Eddie deep-throating the garden shears. All beautifully crafted by none other than the master Tom Savini. Glorious.
Thank you, Tommy. That evening, Glazer and Sally sneak off to make love. Blowing a quick load, Glazer heads back to get matches for a fire. While he is gone, Cropsey attacks Sally. Glazer gets the matches and Alfred follows him to catch a peek at some P in the V. Glazer finds Sally dead and he is quickly killed by Cropsey.
All right, admittedly, Glazer is a 2-pump chump. All right, let's get that shit away. Honestly, that shit is super realistic. All right, the first time he banged this hot chick he's been after the entire movie, of course he's gonna bust quick. It's the second time. It's the second time after you bust.
I thought the noises were strange for the first time. Like she was not enjoying it, or like
I got the impression she was a virgin. Maybe
maybe that's what it was, but it wasn't. It wasn't said. That's why I was confused about like just the sound effects.
She likes it. Nah, she likes to play too many fucking games to be a virgin, bro.
Wait a second. This is
Way
more Harvey Weinstein coming out right here.
There you go.
Way
All
too
right.
many
Lots
games.
of unwanted sexual advances here.
That's a good point.
Do not fuck a dude who ever says, "You hear?" at the end of any sentence. I'm going to take care of you, you hear? No, you don't fuck that guy.
I'm gonna take care of you real good, Sally.
Unless we're in To Kill a Mockingbird times, you don't fuck that guy. Sorry.
Do you really mean that yet?
And then when Alfred's walking behind him, I swear to God, he looks over his shoulder and sees the other fucking guy there.
He's fucking 3 feet behind him and shit.
He's very close.
And then Glazer like turns. I'm like, oh, he saw him? I was like, he's just going to go fuck in front of him?
Alfred is such a creep, bro. And I'm not even like one to really judge somebody on that, but Alfred is a fucking
blocking
creep.
is weird in that scene.
But man, this whole scene right here where he like busts and like he's apologizing to her and shit, and he's like showing his humanity, that he's not really like just a bully, just a tough guy. The shit is so like it's genuine, you know.
Oh yeah, when he's like trying to like, I love you forever.
Yeah,
like he's trying to
I mean that's
walk back.
how dialogue would be in this situation, you know.
Yeah, I can't say it's poorly written or anything.
But this movie is like really
it's just
great.
It's like this character and the Eddie character are the same fucking guy, and they're both very emblematic of who we've come to know as Harvey Weinstein. You know, it doesn't age well for his defense, I guess.
Situation.
Whatever he's got going on these fucking days.
So when Glazer goes back and he lifts the blanket off of Sally, how was Cropsey standing that close to him without him seeing?
No. He wasn't standing. He was in the fucking sleeping bag.
Yeah, that's what that kind of thought.
Okay.
I was
He's 6'4" in this goddamn baby sleeping bag somehow, covered up entirely. Knowing he's imprinting like hell.
This dude is a fucking shinobi. He can just fucking go anywhere and just fit.
Sally's titties ain't that big. They ain't gonna be, covering up for a grown ass burnt victim, fucking up in the sleeping bag, you know.
Okay, I was confused on how that happened, so I guess that's some kind of an answer.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I guess like I said with the canoe sequence, the blocking is kind of like, it goes so quick you don't really have time to really understand where people are standing in a certain situation, but the point gets across. He fucking stabbed this guy through the throat pretty brutally.
He definitely does.
Stabbed him through the throat and literally carried him about 15 feet in the air
nasty.
and impaled him on a tree. That shit was wild.
Yeah, and all this we're seeing, we should probably point out, without really ever seeing Cropsey do these things. We're not in a POV necessarily, but we're kind of like adjacent to his actions whenever he does this shit.
And this goes back to like how good Tom Savini is with his practical effects work. Like they're showing this entire sequence with it, the shears through the guy's throat.
Alfred runs back to the campsite to tell Todd the man with the horrible face did it. Todd follows Alfred and they find the bodies of Glazer and Sally. Cropsey jumps out from behind a tree and swipes at Todd with the shears, nicking him in his forehead. Alfred screams and runs away into the woods with Cropsey in pursuit. Todd wakes up and stumbles off into the woods. The campers see the raft return as it floats down towards them. Michelle fucks around and finds out, swimming up on what remains of the raft crew. Todd returns to the camp and sends the rest of the squad back to the camp to get help. He grabs an axe and goes looking for Alfred, who is still on the run from old Cropsey. Alfred has stamina equal to 100.
The chase sequence, being shot from like the bird's eye view, like through the old ruins of the old campground. Man, that shit looks so good. And the faces this kid makes while he's running and hiding and shit. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to root for this guy, but essentially he becomes like our damsel in distress for the remainder of the film.
At this point, I think he's considered our final boy. As unlikely and unfulfilling as that is.
So the other campers just clean off the raft and just jump back on it and use it, and everybody's cool. I mean,
I don't think everybody's cool. I think we all see how distressed they are and how fucking mentally tormented they are.
They look dead when they're fucking rowing. They're just like, ugh. I did like Woodstock's corpse, though. It had some pretty cool effect work there, too.
It just bobs out of the water like it's Jaws. She was wearing a one piece in this scene, wasn't she?
Oh, yeah. She's wearing her for the next 30 minutes.
Christ.
The campers on the raft return to camp, and Michelle warns Supervisor Jeff about the fuckery downriver. Jeff and Michelle alert the cops, jump in a motorboat, and head towards Devil's Creek.
Jeff's got the most cussy job at this entire camp.
Jeff is fucking useless. He's just there for her to speak about what's happening to somebody.
100%, yeah. And she also uses the terrible line of, what did they say? It's filler. It says, the cops are called, they're coming by chopper.
They said they're coming by chopper.
Like he wasn't with her the whole time. She's like, yeah, hopefully they'll make it in time.
Okay, there we go. All right, we got it in.
Alfred is grabbed by Cropsey, then bound and gagged inside an old, busted structure. Todd hears Alfred's screams and finds his way inside. Cropsey pins Alfred's left arm to a wall with the shears and goes after Todd with an old flamethrower. Todd finally sets his eyes on the villain. A flashback shows that Todd was one of the 5 campers responsible for the prank. It kind of got me here. I don't know if I was so into the notes I didn't realize he was alluding to this earlier.
What? You look just like that guy from the fucking beginning of the movie.
Todd, for me, here gave off real Ash Williams vibes. He had an axe. He had a blue jean shirt that was ripped.
He had the hair too, kind of, yeah. I can see it.
No fucking way. No shot.
Of being as
Motherfucker
hot
can't
as Bruce
even
Campbell.
walk. He's over here tripping over shit and just falling down the entire time.
Well, think about Ash in the first Evil Dead. He was pretty fucking goofy in that one.
But yeah, he's going against like demonic forces. This guy's going against a glorified burn victim.
Glorified.
Super fucking human shinobi burn victim.
Shinobi?
He's hiding in fucking sleeping bags.
No one can see his ass. This burnt up dude's skin looks like a fucking tree.
He's got fucking
Perfect
camo.
camouflage.
I thought it was a good little twist. I mean, it's not something you ever really get in fucking slasher horror movies. Usually it's just
I have a huge
kill,
problem
kill.
with this scene.
You don't think he looks 5 years older?
I mean, he looks like he's about 30 years older, to be honest with you. But it ain't that. Like, at what point are we in the story? Have they gotten to their fight yet?
Nah, he has the flashback, and then he kind of engages him.
This entire part right here, when Todd smashes through, I don't know if it was my copy I was watching that was fucked up or not, but Todd smashes through the wall, right? After the minecart almost hits him. He smashes through the wall, sees Karen's dead body. It's a still shot, not even a fucking real body hanging up.
That was the only like horrible image they had. I was like, this is a zoom in on a picture here. This is bad.
Yeah, in the flashback scene. Right after that, it cuts to Todd just walking around with the axe, and the minecart is back up on top.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
I didn't notice that.
Of the actual track. It stood out. It stood out to me a lot because they made a point of that minecart coming down and being the
They showed it from both angles too.
Yeah,
when it like props and
like
goes down.
I don't know if that was shit editing or what. Like, I don't know how much you guys read into it, but apparently Savini replaced the director for
Get him, Tom.
For the end of the movie?
Yeah, for the end of the movie. He rewrote and reshot the end of the movie.
Oh God,
That's fucking baller, man. This is making this movie legendary.
Yeah, I think the Weinsteins and the director had like some creative differences or whatever, but I'm not sure if that's to blame or what. But it really like took me out of this scene. I guess it shouldn't have because it wasn't that bad, but it's like the continuity right here is terrible.
Another piece to this scene and the atmosphere is this was supposed to be shot. This is shot in a copper mine. It was supposed to be shot in a cave. The first cave they used was full of bats. And then Tom Savini found another cave that they were going to use, but the cave fell in.
Cropsey tries to set Todd on fire while he swings at the maniac with the axe. Alfred frees himself and stabs Cropsey in the back with the garden shears. Michelle and Jeff arrive at the campsite where she waves down the police chopper. Todd and Alfred begin to leave when Cropsey pops up and attacks Alfred. Todd smashes the axe into Cropsey's dome, pinning him to a support pillar. Alfred grabs the modified flamethrower and sets his ass afire. Alfred and Todd walk out as Cropsey becomes crispy.
Dude, Todd busted his ass in the forehead with that goddamn axe.
That's a fucking... And it was one shot through his skull into the fucking wood behind him.
Tom Savini, not to throw his name out there again, but actually he's the one that swung the axe in this scene. But yeah, that's how you get an axe to the forehead. Alfred burned his ass again. Talk about twice baked potatoes. That shit was rough.
In this scene, if you go back in comparison to your cart issue, they stay on the shot for a pretty good while, and only his body is on fire. He's surrounded by wood. There's a wood beam on top, and the flame is not catching that wood beam on fire at all. The only thing that's on fire is Cropsey himself.
Well, he's obviously flammable, Hoodie.
I mean, I understand.
You know what's sad, though, is you watch this fucking movie, like this guy goes through this terrible ordeal. He survives. So how are they going to kill him? They're going to burn his fucking ass again. That's got to be horrible, man. I feel for him in that long shot they hold on him. I'm like, God, this fucking guy. Why can't you just cut his head off or something? In the final scene, the legend of Cropsey is being told around a campfire. Which makes a lot more sense now, given the information Joy dropped about this being an urban legend. Pretty cool fucking ending, honestly.
Yeah. Aside from that kerfuffle at the end taking me out of it, I enjoyed it. Didn't really care for the incel being like the final boy. That I didn't have any investment in that guy's character, so that didn't help too much. But I guess it could be argued that Todd was kind of the final boy, right?
Yeah, I feel like Todd was the protagonist. He felt more like a Laurie Strode to me than the dweeb guy, just because he had like a history with Cropsey, technically, you know.
History.
Even though I don't think Cropsey was aware of it. That's kind of something I was trying to piece together.
Well, I guess you can look at it from this angle, too, is early in the movie, it was established that, and I think you guys talked about it, Todd had, you know, he wanted to look out for curly-headed incel, what the fuck's his name?
Alfred.
He just said it, Alfred. So, yeah, kind of using him as bait.
Seems like he's calling out to... Like, he wants to engage him, you know, almost. Like, he kind of remembers that he's one of the kids that fucking set me on fire. But that's never, like, explicitly hashed out, so...
Yeah, he just can't tell. He can't tell who he is. He's got all that Byzina showing his face.
Harvey was like, here's some more. Fucking lube him up for this final scene.
I got a little bit left here.
All right, boys. Puts Cropsey to rest. Piece of memorabilia you want to bring home from this classic 1981 slasher.
I'll go ahead and jump in here because... This is probably going to be my most boring pick out of all the movies we've ever done. The Garden Shears. Unique as fuck, killer weapon. Super sharp, super iconic. I say that because this actually inspired the antagonist weapon in a little-known series known as Clock Tower.
Oh,
the video game.
I remember that guy.
This movie inspired that.
That is cool.
Badass.
Yeah, it's just a cool weapon.
Clock Tower was terrifying.
Yeah, it was one of those like early or mid 90s PlayStation. I can't play this for more than 10 minutes type of games.
For me, I understand the Garden Shears is the go-to here. Already own a set of Garden Shears, though. You know, you got one pair, you got them all.
They don't have all this like children's blood on it like these do.
Well, I mean, you
they
gotta
might.
be extra. Gotta be
You
extra.
watch, you don't know who you're talking to, buddy.
I'm gonna grab that sweet-ass jean shirt that Todd wore. Pop that collar, wear that bad boy around town.
That is sexy. I don't mind that one. I wrote panties in the tree with a question mark and then said, nah, give me the shears. Just because, unfortunately, we're never going to see this, that we know of. We'll never see this this villain again. So let me get what his most iconic piece of memorabilia here.
Are you saying that we're not going to review The Burning 2, Chris?
Is there a Burning 2?
Oh, you bet your ass there is.
Is there?
Is there a sequel?
I think there is.
That's just news to me if there is.
There's no sequel.
I might have to go back to the panties then. Nah, I'm keeping
I think the movie was kind of a flop.
There is no Burning 2. Damn it.
That'd be dope.
One day, man.
I think it's actually one of the highest grossing horror films ever in Japan, as crazy as that sounds. But I think it flopped. Here.
I know we've had a few magical moments on the pod. Maybe we can make a sequel happen just by having talked about it. All right, boys. Put a letter grade in the book for Mr. Tony Maylam in his presentation known as The Burning.
The Burning was a shocking surprise, considering we have all watched this story now over the years 1,000 times, thanks to the never-ending comparisons. Placing myself in this time period, though, I have no idea why this did not get a huge following from the start, considering the time period, and it's sad that it's taken me this long to watch it. Brian Matthews was fantastic for this low-budget 80s slasher as the character Todd. Several more young actors gave impressive performances again for this low-budget slasher. With all that being said, I'm going to give it a C+, and if you have not watched this film, make it a priority to go out and watch it and check it off your list.
What an underrated slasher. Pretty much just harking on what Hootie just said. How have I went my whole life without seeing 1981's The Burning? The characters are likable, aside from Alfred, the fucking weirdo. And they actually make believable choices. The kills are gory, and that raft scene, holy shit, so good. The electronic score lends itself well to creating an unsettling atmosphere, and Tom Savini is at his best with his effects. Now for the elephant in the room. It's hard not to compare The Burning with Friday the 13th Part 2, because the resemblance is uncanny. But I wouldn't say it's a ripoff. I mean, how could it be? They were in production at the same time and even released a week apart. Honestly, if you change the plot up just a little bit, subbed Jason full crapsy, then you'd have one of the top Friday the 13th movies in the franchise. Maybe even the best. As far as negatives, Cropsey is kind of a letdown as an uninteresting antagonist. He doesn't really do anything to set himself apart from other generic killers. The Burning is a prime example of the kills outclassing the killer. Whereas with your Jasons, your Freddys, your Michaels, the killings don't overshadow the killer. Also, Alfred as the final boy doesn't work for me. The dude is super unlikable and doesn't do anything throughout the entire movie to redeem himself. It makes the ending anticlimactic in my opinion. Aside from those two cons, there's not much else here I'd categorize as a detriment to the movie as a whole. Now we just need to review Sleepaway Camp, and we can complete the camp slasher trinity. 1981's The Burning exceeds all my expectations with a strong B.
80s slasher is just such a loaded subgenre within horror. It's damn near impossible to find a hidden gem within that. But this movie was fun, breezy, corny, and I dug it. The greatest challenge in discussing this is not to use the words Friday the 13th. So I will just accept defeat and say this is a better version of the Jason movie that came out just a week before. And heresy alert, it seems to me this movie gave the formula correction that franchise needed. The time spent with the characters here may be a slow burn, haha, but that's always been my bag anyway. So, sprinkle in a little Tom Savini, and this belongs among the cream of the 80s horror crop. I'm going to give this a B+. Alright, let's recap these audience scores. This was my pick, so I was not able to guess. Start with the high man. Joseph said a 75. Mr. Hootie said a 63. The actual score is a 6060.
Oh, shit.
Mr. Ryan Hootie with a dub.
I finally got one. Man, it's been a while.
Been a minute.
Been on quite a dry streak, fellas.
It's been a fucking minute. This is like Cropsey. 5 years of blue balls. This guy's ready to let it rip.
The skin grafts did take for me.
So, all right, sir. Next film is your wheelhouse. Let us know what we're going to watch.
So, next film, got a list here that I'm picking from. I'm going to be try to connect the times here for what's coming up next month. And we're going to watch not a sequel, but a reboot, 2013's Evil Dead.
Fuck yeah, this movie, man. I really like this one, if I remember correctly. I feel like a lot of people shit on it, but I really liked it.
I was in the shit on categories. I'm excited to go back and rewatch it because at the time, Bruce Campbell was doing Burn Notice and like My Name Was Bruce, and he was kind of out of the horror genre. So I felt wounded because I didn't get to see Ash because Army of Darkness came out in 1992, and I was 1 year old, so I never saw Bruce Campbell play Ash. But the TV series really did a great job of allowing this generation to see Ash.
So you feel like they wasted an opportunity to use him again?
That's why I want to watch it again.
All right, folks, you want to play along? We're going to watch the official full-length Red Band trailer for 2013's Evil Dead. Let's go.
The following preview has been approved for mature audiences.
Mature audiences only. Fuck, it's raining.
Look at that Jeep.
Please. Please. You have to get me out of here.
Dude, imagine if they had Mia Goth playing that role.
Yeah. On point.
This Pokemon.
That looks familiar.
This guy look like fucking Jared Leto.
You don't understand.
She did a very good job. I do remember her doing a good job.
I think this is Fede Alvarez, right?
There was something in the woods.
Same guy who did Don't Breathe.
Never watched it.
Think
Just the sound design right there is fucking great.
Now.
Hot, dude. Dummy mommy. Oh, fuck!
Great, dude.
Oh, they're in the fruit cellar.
I released something from that book. Something evil. This thing is attached to Mia's soul.
Fucking Mia.
We're gonna have to kill her.
You are all going to die tonight.
So hot.
Ah, fuck. I forgot about the glass.
There's a lot
Cut it.
to forget in this movie. I'm so excited. This is a
Does that
fantastic
girl
pick.
do any, like... Is she anything else? Oh, here it is.
There you go, Joey.
Fuck. God.
Gnarly.
Oh my God, yes. Fuck, I would.
This shit was great, man.
How's she gonna be able to like toss
Wow.
your salad and lick your
Wow.
balls at the same time?
Fuck.
Whew. 100.
That shit's a,
I go 100.
that shit's a banker, dog.
I'm-
100% right in
Based
the-
on that fucking last scene.
Holy shit.
That tongue, bro.
Well, Hootie's abstaining here, but I guess it's just between me and Joseph.
I enjoy it, but I don't think it's considered good. We'll go with a 60.
I'm gonna go with an 80.
Jesus.
I think this is enjoyed.
I think it was well received.
Alrighty, folks. Thank you for listening. Check out the website, horriblefilmschool.com, to find links to all the podcast platforms and all the socials. Give us a follow, leave a review, send us some neon shorts. I'm going to say goodbye and offer my support to women confined to isolated campgrounds with horny teenage quote-unquote boys.
As always, if you are hearing our voices, tell at least one person you know. Spread the love. Spread the campaign. Also, go to the horriblefilmschool.com, and you also see the note for the merch store on TeePublic. Lots of stuff to choose from there. And I'm going to go jump into my favorite world, the world of Evil Dead. And I'm out.
Thanks for all the likes, the subs, the listens, the follows, the downloads. We really appreciate all y'all's support, as well as your time and attention. Be sure to join us next time when we pop open the Necronomicon once more for 2013's Evil Dead. Class dismissed.